All right, I'm going to start part two with Joey. Part one, just kind of real quick synopsis of what happened in part one. We talked about his background, his upbringing, talked about his time in the Army. We talked about your education, your um, your work that you've done, uh, getting remains back from a World War II service member that was killed in 1944, and you
Mhm.
guys just got his remains back last year.
Yep.
Um, And what we were leading into at the end of our conversation, we were talking about warrior ethos. We were talking about the warrior spirit that you've got, which probably in a very large way, shielded you, protected you from a lot of the trauma that a lot of service members carry with them when they leave the service, when they've, post deployment. So um, I want to lead off this episode with what you're doing as far as creating an organization to bring veterans to Mexico and get them started on a journey of spiritual enlightenment, spiritual awakening. So take it away, Joey. Talk to us about what you got going on.
Okay. So, like I was talking on the last one, I was talking about how, like, my background growing up, I heard all these things from the conquistadores to the Chichimeca fighting, the conquistadores to the Zapatistas and the Villistas. So, I grew up hearing these things. So, being a soldier to me was just natural. I joined the army, went to the war, I got out. I'm sitting in school and I'm sitting in these sociology classes. And, anybody knows about the social sciences, it's very they're not meat eaters. Sorry, they're not. And so when you got a meat eater sitting in the room, we're kind of like, huh, okay. And in that moment, I kind of was thinking to myself, I'm reading these things like, so you're telling me according to these label theories and this and that thing that, okay, let me see this metric you have. Male, check. Uh, joined the military, check. Went to deployed, check. Drinks a beer, check. Likes to have a dip or a cigarette here and there, check. May have gone home with somebody one night after having a beer and a cigarette, check. You have PTSD. I was like, how does that give me PTSD? When I would go talk to people in Hawaii, they're like, oh, you've been to the war, you got PTSD. When I would go talk to girls on like dates, oh, you're a veteran? Oh, you got PTSD. And that really bothered the shit out of me. Because I was a kid growing up, people tell me shit. I'm like, how do you know all this? You don't know this, you know? And finally, I kind of threw that stuff rather than getting mad. I just sat there and thought to myself, like, why do I hold this kind of resentment that I have when I hear that kind of stuff? And it was easy because I always wanted to be a soldier. I always wanted to be a warrior. When I was a little boy, that's what I did. Everybody else drove their cars around trying to pick up girls. I was out there hunting. I was out there raising some kind of hell that I did as a soldier too, but I was focusing this different way of life. Yes, I went to the youth center, hung out, and chased girls and drink beer with my friends. But that wasn't the only thing I wanted to do. As at a younger age, I had a higher calling, as you say. So after being in the army, that kind of it kind of stuck with me. Like, I always wanted to be a warrior. So why should I be the one suffering? And more importantly, excuse my language, but who the fuck are you to tell me what I have and what I don't? And because I was in the social sciences and I was studying sociology and psychology and all these really touchy feely things, then I started to use what I was taught. And I go, why would you say that about me? You don't know me. I had professors in UH that told me, you're from Texas, so you're racist, you like guns, you do this, you do that. And I was like, first off, my family came from Mexico, so we're not from Texas. I was born there, but that's not where we're from. And all these things, I remembered that, and I was like, huh. Then I kind of turned it around and go, well, why would you say that about me? And then from there, I kind of started to develop a counter argument to the whole thing. Was perhaps what it is you live in a society that doesn't give you any outlets. You weren't 19 years old driving a tank. You weren't 23 years old leading troops in combat. You weren't a 35-year-old platoon sergeant, 21-year-old lieutenant, whatever the case may be. You weren't that. You were sitting back there in bumfuck you know where. What? I'm sorry. What did General Patton say? We weren't the ones in Louisiana shoveling shit. We weren't those guys. And even though we weren't out here with you wearing a tie and a suit, we were in our own uniform and we were still managing, if not more than you were. I started looking at the professors I had, at the professionals of the society that I was just introduced to, and I was like, you guys aren't at our level. You're not at my level. Sure, you went to school for 4 years, but I mean, if I went to school for 4 years, I would be there, but I'd be above you. Why is that? I'm a master gunner. I went to ranger school. I went to all these other things that I didn't have to go to, but I chose to. And come to find out, those are really hard schools that you guys, if you had the chance, you would have definitely gone in the opposite direction, judging according to what you're doing now. Once I started to counter arguing that point, my military service took on a whole new life. And so did how we suffer as veterans. I use we as a general statement, but why the veterans suffer. I use my anthropology, my sociology, and my psychology to reinvent the situation to say, if you're somebody, in my case, I didn't have a lot of options. I didn't want to go to college. That wasn't for me. That was going into another world that I wasn't accustomed to back home where I was from. It was very still organic. The only thing similar to that was the Army. Why? Because we were always in the field. That's when I lived. That's when I was the best. But when we were in garrison, okay. But to me, that was well. To me, I was like, okay, let me understand my experience. I didn't have a place in society, so I went to the Army. When I went to the Army, I met you, First Sergeant Galloway, the homeboy Sean Allison. You know what I'm saying? The alley cat. You know that dude. You met all these cool guys. And I rose because I had people like First Sergeant Galloway, like Sergeant Pareto. Those are in my 20s, those are the dudes. I was like, oh, wow. And in that time, if you were to say play a game of like keeping up with the Joneses, that's who I was trying to keep up with, right? So I was like, okay. And then I left this world where I was allowed to go to all the, be all you can be. I was a be all you can be guy. I lived in this world where I could be all you can be to get out and then be put in this world where like, oh, you're a veteran. Now we're going to put you here. And then that's whenever my counter argument started. And I was like, oh, well, if you're doing that, and see, I'm an asshole because I have my dual citizenship. So I can be like, oh, I can go to the other side if I want to. I don't have to stay here with your bullshit. But then I go, what about my friends who don't have that ability? So then that's how I started to kind of say, let me stay here in the fight with them because I've already been here in the fight with them. And I'm going to start engaging in this other direction. And that's where I came up with the idea to, I guess you can say we have to, not to reinvent the wheel, but to re-examine our time as soldiers, to re-examine the what, when, why, who of all that, and then say, how do I use that and move forward? More importantly, understanding that just like you weren't a part of the society beforehand, you're probably not a part of that same society now.
Right. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I feel that a lot. There's so many times after I retired, I would bite my tongue around civilians because what they saw as an emergency or like the sky is falling to me was just like, dude, that's a Tuesday from where I come from. It's not that big of,
right.
Yeah. It's like, okay, man. Yeah, I get 100% where you're going with this. So, all right. So you've got this concept building in your head. Let's re-examine our time as soldiers. So where did that go from there?
So from there, I started going into just understanding more of what I did is I said, okay, I'm going to stop this and I'm going to throw all this into an academic setting. Who would you be if you were a minority in the world and this happened to you? You were taken from your minority world, thrown into a place where you could be elevated, and then all of a sudden you were thrown back into this other world, back into that minority world to where everything you had just accomplished was for nothing. Because I've heard in my time, oh, you were a soldier? That's cute. But out here in the real world, I'm like, the fuck? You know what I'm saying? Like you guys are going crazy on the Monday morning. Me and the Army dudes that just got out, we're like smoking cigarettes. And we're like, why are they going so fast? Oh, it's 9:00 on a Monday. You're like, why were they going fast at 6:30? Like, well, because they weren't off. You're like, roger that. Never mind. Continue mission. Let's go. It's kind of like that, And I started to examine it more of an academic sense, and I took away the number system that they like to use. I hate the empirical thing. I think it's bullshit. And although, and I'm going to throw something there, Master Gunner, and make everybody happy. We used numbers as Master Gunners, but we used firing data more important. So we used whenever you guys are teaching us about how we got the CCF for, right 0.15, 0.15, up 0.60 is because, hey, historically, everything was hitting up here. That's what we were observing, not what we thought it was going to hit.
Right.
We went to the point of aim, point of impact, right back to point of aim. Here we are. Pismo Beach and all the kinds of, right?
It's based off evidence.
Roger.
Yep.
So I did the same thing, but instead of using a number system, I used an observational system, which you can put into numbers. And I was like, hey, everybody's suffering from the same thing. What if that is in fact the cause? What's happening? And I use myself as a proxy instead of going and studying you or somebody else, because I'm in the middle of it too. And what I gathered from that was that I feel a lot of the suffering that happens by the veteran societies because they suffer like anybody else who suffers from culture loss. Period. You go from a place where you had a brother that was from Africa, from Korea, from North Carolina, from California. It didn't matter what they looked like; they were your brother because that's who your tank crew wasn't a color. It was 4 personalities that gave it life. And going back to what you said but when we were talking about people that we've lost in combat, if anybody on that tank crew was to be lost, you lose that personality. It's like everybody's like going back to what I said about the Virgin Mary, La Virgen de Guadalupe. Your Teocuitla creates that monster, the monster creates that thing. And I was like, okay, I got that. I can understand that. So let me see, what happens to people on the outside of this fake world we live in when they suffer from culture loss? It's cultural isolation, cultural appropriation, if you will. They suffer from anxiety, from depression, from drug, alcohol use, suicide, everything and anything they talk about veterans and PTSD was right there staring at. And I was like, well, what did I do to stop all that stuff right there? Because I do like to have me a beer now, but I'm following the route of a lot of my friends, my peers, and I'm getting out of it for no other reason that I don't do it. I do enjoy smoking pot here and there, but for me, I'll get more to that later. But for me, what I realized through all this was, all of this, if they talk about what veterans do, is a symptom of something unconnected to that. If I go tell a veteran, hey man, there's not a problem that you went to the war. That's what you want to do, right? You want to protect your family, protect your country? Yes. Take a bow, young man. You're one of the few that got to do that. You're one of the very few that got to do that. And more importantly, in a time where you weren't drafted, you went up there and you signed up. And the word in Spanish is, you're a huevón. That means you got big balls, man. You're like, I'm willing to do that. If your wife went with you and she's a huevona, she was willing to go and suffer with you. You need to be proud about that because look at your peers in your country. Since we have a big old thing in this country too, look at your peers and look who's judging you. They would never have done that. They don't have the same love that you do. So, take that into consideration before you decide you're going to go drink a beer or, get drunk because you're upset at what they saw in the news or what somebody was wearing before you do it. Yeah. And when I started to see it, when I started to remove that firing data and put that into my own life, then I started to see a pattern on, okay, then this is why the veterans are doing that. Oh, by the way, another thing is how people act. I forget how people act. You don't have a culture, you'll act out. Veterans are always the guys that get drunk and start the fights. Why? You're acting out. Why? Because you don't have a culture. But I guarantee you, at least what I think in my academic approach is, you put that back in a society, and not so much a society, but give them a place in the society where they can go back and hang out with their first sergeants, their platoon sergeants, their gunnery sergeants, their whatever the case is, to get them, back into that space that they're comfortable with. And it doesn't have to be like the businesses that I have. When I eventually get them to where I am employing people, it's not going to be a place where we're in there like yes sergeant, no sergeant formations, that kind of stuff. It's going to be a place where I call it motor pool talk. Not the one about the girls, but the motor pool talk, where you go into work and like, hey man, how you doing, what you do last night, kind of that motor pool talk. Sometimes you're talking shit, sometimes it's you're working and hey, Jeremy, I got to talk to you about something. What's up? Let's go over here and do this. Okay. That same thing, because when you leave there and you have a conversation with your friends, as I can recall, you're a better, okay, I know you. You're married, you got kids, you this or that. You know something that I don't. So if I want to ask you questions for a reason. And anyway, don't get all, I don't want to get all long with that, but that's what got me to where I'm at now. All
That
that
is
got me to where I'm back now.
that is incredible. That I am following you 100%. I got to tell you, I kind of discovered what you're talking about. I kind of discovered it by accident. When I retired and I come back to Cincinnati, there was a period of time for several years where I didn't realize it at the time, but I can look back on it now and I can clearly see it. But I fell apart, brother. I fell apart. I was drinking like there was no tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
I was having all kinds of weird symptoms that I'd never had before. I'm starting to get suicidal ideations when I've never thought that way in my life. I've always been a pretty glass half full, kind of pretty optimistic, pretty positive guy. Even in Iraq and Afghanistan, I found some positivity even while I was there. Um, and then I get out into the civilian sector, and I realize now that what I had lost was my sense of purpose, the camaraderie that came with being a part of the team. Um, you know, I lost all of that. I had none of that. And what I tried to replace it, and I tried to medicate with copious amounts of alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
And it just made everything worse. And I just continued to spiral and spiral and spiral until I finally found help. And finding help wasn't an overnight thing. It took me a while. It was a process, and it encompassed a lot of different things. But one of those things, Joey, is few years ago, I got involved with a group called Veterans Connect, and I talk about it on here all the time. And I talk about it on here all the time because it has helped me tremendously by getting around veterans. And not all of them are combat veterans, but they're just veterans and they speak the same language, and they've served, and they've served in austere places, in very very tough situations.
Mm-hmm.
Even you don't have to have deployed to a combat zone to have served in austere difficult conditions. You're going to, if you're in the military, whether you go to combat or not. It's a tough job. And just getting back around those people started to give me a sense of being a part of a community again.
Yeah.
And you said when that minority is taken out of that structure, they achieve great, wonderful things, and then they get tossed back in, and they're just another person. And all
Mm-hmm.
of those great accomplishments, they don't mean anything. If you
Mm-hmm.
tell somebody that you went to ranger school, anybody that's infantry or anybody that's in the army or in the military understands that you went through a very, very challenging school. I mean, that there are not many people in the civilian sector that really understand what is involved with that course.
Right.
That is that's a hard school.
Mm-hmm.
And when you come out as a civilian, it's just like, "Oh, you're a ranger?" That doesn't mean shit to them. They hear ranger and they think you looked for firefight, or you looked for smoke out in the woods to see if the woods were on fire, like you're a forest ranger or something.
Right.
They don't understand what, and it's not on them, and it's not their job to understand that. I'm just saying that they just don't. And they have no point of reference. And so they don't understand what you've done. But we do.
Right.
So when you're back in that community and you tell guys, "Hey man, I went to ranger school," which I didn't, but "Hey, I was a ranger." If you tell somebody that, they're like, "Damn, no shit."
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, yeah. I talked to guys around nuclear subs. I talked to guys that were helicopter pilots. I talked to guys that, and even though I never did those jobs, I understand what was behind that.
Right.
And just being, yeah. So I think I'm going to shut up here in a second, but it took me years to figure that out. But I needed to be back amongst veterans.
Mm-hmm.
I needed that. A lot of guys retire and they stay around a military base.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think they probably experience what a lot of us that retire and move to a city that does not have a military base within 50 miles.
Right.
Um, it's a totally different atmosphere. People know people that join the military, but they very rarely meet people that, you know, they don't typically run into people that are like you and I.
Right.
Um, and we just keep our mouths shut because it's like, what am I going to tell that person? They don't really know, and it's not like, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
So you just kind of shut up and you just kind of play the game.
Right.
And, but there's a sense of loss.
Roger.
And yeah, yeah. So I think you're definitely on the right track. Keep going, man. So what's your plan? What's your intent? What are you going to do?
Well, so when all that happened, I decided I was like, well, and I had gone through my second divorce. It was really shitty. It was just horrible. And I was like, you know what? I'm done with all this. I don't want anybody to take it wrong. I was like, I'm done with this, but I'm going to go back to where my family comes from, going back to the mix. So I came back over here, kind of reconnected with the family and everything. And they told me like, hey, man, you need to come hang out with the dancers, the guys you see with the big feathers out here in Mexico, and they're doing with the drums and everything, the danzantes. It's like, yeah, let me go and hang out with them. And I was introduced to he's my compadre now. I baptized his son, Xochitl. And we were talking one day, and he goes, "So you're in the way." It was very like the way he asked me. He's like, "So you're a warrior?" He told me in Spanish. He's like, "Guerrero is a word." He's like, "So you're a warrior?" I was like, and kind of like you said, like keep your mouth shut. I was like, "Yeah, man." I was like, "Yeah, I'm a warrior." I was like, "I went to the war," and he was like, "What you learned?" I was like, "Oh," I was like, and all these like he asked me multiple questions like this, and I didn't know this guy. And I'm like, what? But they weren't like, did you kill anybody? Did you lose any friends? Did it was like, what'd you learn? How was it? How did you feel? Like very, like, like questions that psychiatrists don't ask you. And I was like, that's kind of when I told him, like, I grew up wanting to be a warrior. So that's what I did. I wanted to be a warrior. Like the inner child. Some people talk about the inner child. Like, that's what I want to do. I did it, man. I was like, and I told him like, and well, when I got out of the army, nobody cared that I was a soldier, even though we were apparently doing it for them. So I came back here to, to find out what I can do over here. Maybe I can find something. He goes, oh, okay. And so with that, I kind of got into the community of coming to Mexico and got reintroduced into the old culture, right? Which still exists with the Spanish culture, but it's the older one where the indigenous side of syncretism takes place. So now when I go to Chadma, it's the mother goddess that I see. It's almost like, oh, okay, I understand that. But as I went through there, an older gentleman, he's already passed on. But I remember he kind of got into the group. I was like the one guy that stuck out, like, who's this? It's like, he's from Texas. His family's from Mexico, but apparently he was in the army and went to war, and he's here walking with us at Chadma. And the old man told me one day, he stopped me and he goes, everybody's a warrior. Everybody here's a warrior. And I was like, okay, whatever. And it kind of stuck with me. And it's like, I had this thing because I go back to the United States, to our country, and nobody's a warrior. We're the warriors. But we get treated like shit. And then I'm like, and all of a sudden this old man tells me, we're all warriors. And I'm like, okay, yeah, we walked up and down the mountains. Sure, we're warriors. And I kept on doing this. And I started, the more I got more into the spirituality of it, I started talking to people. I mean, they got to the point where, hey, so what was like the army like? And I would get in there and I'd start, oh, the army, this and that. They're like, okay, cool. And I remember one time specifically, one of the guys stopped me and goes, hey, just remember this. It was life. And it's like, what do you mean? He goes, what you experience in the army, it's called life. He told me, he goes, going back then, we're about to get back into that cave. But he told me, he goes, everything was perfect when you were born. That's a blessing from the creator. Everything came together in the world and the universe and you were born. Everything past that, it's called life. He goes, and you make of it what you will, but that's life. It happens. And that kind of fit into my whole thing about being a warrior. So I was like, all right, well, and then I kind of went back to that whole check the block thing, and then I was like, well, what else did I check the block on? I wanted to be a Ninja Turtle. I got my black belt in jiu-jitsu. I'm like, all right, cool, man. Now I'm a Ninja Turtle. Check. They skateboard and surf and say cowabunga and all that shit. But and this is all getting to a closing spot here. But for me, and I'm glad we're doing this now, bro, because in May, it really sunk in. I was like, I gotta, and I told this to the compadres. I was like, I gotta bring people. We started walking, and from the Zócalo, that's where they have the pyramids of the Templo Mayor there in Mexico City. You walk there for a day, you end up outside of Mexico City, walk another day through the mountains, down the mountains, and then you walk another day and you get to where you're going. The day that we were walking through the mountains, it was raining. I hate walking through the rain. You remember in the Army, if it ain't raining, we're not training. It was raining hard. And we're in there and the lightning's going down and everybody's kept on trucking. People are falling and they're laughing. And the thing, this is when it kind of hit me about what we're talking about. A little boy's crying. And the dad goes up to him and he tells him, and I'm looking at him, he's kind of pointing to him. He's like the side view. He's doing this to him. Not like me, but he's kind of doing this. And I'm just kind of looking at him. And you know what came into my mind? PLDC reading, there's a part in PLDC about leadership where here in Black Hawk Down, when they go back in, it was in that PLDC booklet. I remember that. So I was like, oh, I read the book, Black Hawk Down. But when he tells them, I know you don't want to go back out there. I know you don't want to go back out there. But this is what we do. And if you don't do it, who's going to do it? And that little boy was his son. He was 10 years old, right? That's how cool his name is. My buddy, his name is Tonatiu, which means son. And his son's name is Yao, which means warrior. So the son was telling the warrior, this is what we do. Keep going. I know you're sad. It's raining. You're tired. You're hungry. There's thunder, which let me tell you, walking with lightning, I was having what would say flashbacks, but I was also having like this spiritual moment where I was making peace with it. It's like, you've already walked through the lightning. You guys were the lightning bolts of the community, right? The lightning bolts of what do they call it? The lightning bolts over there in the Disneyland. Like all these things happened, and I saw that. And I'm like, we are warriors. And we got down from the mountain, and that next day I'm out there smoking a cigarette, and I was bewildered because of what I just experienced. And my friend asked me, "Was you okay?" I'm like, dude, what we just went through. The only people who went through shit like that was people I went to the army with. Like that's straight up like mountain phase, like walking through the mountains, like just as we said, sucking dick for wooden nickels. That's like shitty sitting in MTC getting rained on, like, just that's the worst of the worst that I experienced in the army. But that's when me and all my buddies were laughing and cheesing, like, how do we keep this cigarette lit while it's raining so much, How do I keep this shit out of my coffee? So I just cooked it on the back deck, And that's when I decided this is where I need to start bringing my friends, because it hit me. This is where the warriors come, and this is where we belong. This is not where we belong, but for those of us who need a place to go back to that sense of being a warrior, that's where I found it. I found it. You start off as a young me. I started off as just a guy who nobody knew, and they're like, "Go help those guys move this." And I'm just like, "Yeah, cool." Then one day they go, and I'm not saying this because I was one, but one day they're like, "You in the back, the Weddle guy, yeah, you're gonna be one of the sergeants." It's like, cool, been there, done that. Everybody else is like, "So as a sergeant, you got to do this." And I'm like, "Hold on there, cowboy. I've already done this, okay? Might have a few years on you, okay? Just chill out. Let me do me, okay?" And then, interesting enough, once I got back into that role of sergeant, well, it is almost as if we were back in the day. I'm running back and up and down the file, making sure everybody's in line. Once we're up in the mountains, everything that we did, exactly like that. Hey, go up there. I'm going to go stay back. Everything was the same. Then you go up to whoever, is one, like, that's broken down. It's military style. You have your chiefs, your captains, your sergeants, so on and so forth. But I went to the buddy that I knew, like, hey, just, there's nobody left in the back. There's no stragglers. I picked them up. Good at being striker patrol. So, yeah, we're good. Okay, cool. And then once we get there and everything's being done and they start saying, "Hey, everybody, welcome. We're here in Chalma. We're about to start our celebration while we're here. Thank you to everybody for helping. Thank you to the sergeants." And, and they're like, "Thanks to the guy back there, for helping us." They're like, "You guys know he was a soldier, right, in the States." And it all just kind of came back like, whoa, hey, I'm here. But it's like, it was like the way it all happened. The everything being together. And I was telling the compadres afterwards, like, be ready. I'm going to start bringing my friends here. I was like, be ready. I was like, because I think more of us, if they were to come and do this, it would heal Because instead of you going and having a therapy session with somebody talking about whatever happened, and instead of you thinking about the future and what it holds for you, and instead of you thinking about I'm a minority that's been kicked out of my place in the world, where do I go? You get all of that and then some in this one little thing. Oh, this one little thing. I mean, and that's when I got the idea that I want to start making this an actual event for the veterans that I know, for anybody that's, that way they can go through this. And it doesn't have to be like extreme suffering, but if you just, I think everybody should do it actually. It's a good experience. It's great.
I like that. It sounds like you had a spiritual awakening when you were on that trip.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that is. I also want to comment on what you said that guy said to you about it's just life. We're all warriors. Life's a battle. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to tell you, and I'm just going to plug the name of this podcast right now because initially I called it Warfighter's Diary because my intent was to only have people on like you, guys that have been served, went to combat deployments, and what they're doing today, to show that, there's life after war and that we can keep going. But since then, I've had a few guys on who weren't in the military at all, but they had their own personal journeys and personal struggles and hit rock bottom and found a way out and are now highly productive members of society.
Mm-hmm.
And in my thinking, while they weren't technically a soldier, they are warriors. They are war fighters. It doesn't matter if they got shot at or shot at someone. It doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
We all are in this battle in life,
Mm-hmm.
and we are fighting a war. And I think we all have something that we can give and learn from each other. And I think what you're doing is absolutely fantastic. In fact, once you get it going, man, I think I want to come down and do it.
Yeah.
I think it'd be incredibly healing, to come down there. So I thought, and tell me if I'm wrong, as soon as I heard that you were doing this down in Mexico and that you were doing like a almost kind of like a veteran recovery kind of you know, spiritual journey,
Mm-hmm.
I just assumed that there was going to be ayahuasca involved. Is
Right.
that not entered into? Yeah. So
You
is
know,
that not a thing or?
so I don't want to give away all the secrets because what I do in the spiritual sense, you do hang out with curanderos, with the shaman, and if I mean it's happened to me since I've been here, but they see it, they read it. I'm like, what's wrong with you? Nothing's wrong with me. Yeah, there's something wrong with you. I can tell. So there's no ayahuasca in this, and not that I have anything against it, but going back to what I was talking about with the symptoms of it. Personally, I think that I understand that people use ayahuasca because they want to get that thing, but through that spiritual trip, you're a part. The big thing about all that I was talking about was that the veteran has been taken out of his own life. I guess you could say his own livelihood.
Mhm.
You know, when we were soldiers, we did stuff for us for the bigger cause, and then you get out, it's like you lose that connection with who you are and what you do. When you're doing this in the spirituality, at least the way I've been doing it, the way I think of it is, it has to be the word is in Spanish, it's called a compromiso, a promise, something that you make to something higher, saying, I'm going to get through this because, I went to Ranger School. This can't be that hard. I was in Iraq in 05, 06. Whoa, made it, so it's like, this can't be that bad. The reason I personally don't want to go and I have had access to do it, but I don't want to go and do the frog or the ayahuasca because, and this could be a personal thing, but I want to make sure that I run into the storm and that I leave the storm and there's nothing left back in the storm. I don't want to be taken out of my physical sense to do this. I want to make sure that whenever they ask me, why don't you have any problems? Because I went and fought the bad guy. What bad guy? Whatever the people call the bad guy. I fought it. I did it. Am I to tell you that while you're up there, they're not going to give you a mushroom Because all right, we're getting to the part of this journey where you need a mushroom. Absolutely not. There might be a dude smoking weed and asking if you want some, but as far as the ayahuasca, no, nothing like that. It's more spiritual because you don't leave your body; you're in your body. This is your experience. This is your fight. You stay in that fight. And to your point
I like it.
about meeting other people, like here in this, we call it here in the road, el camino, is it's like you said, it's not the fact that they went to war and shot anybody, got blown up. It's that I see them doing the same fighting that I do. We associate that. And whenever I see that, I'm like, then I can trust you because I see you suffering. I can come in and help you. You see me suffering, you come in and help me. And I've only known one other place where that happens, you know, in the army, whenever we were shooting and we were putting stuff, those cameras on the tanks and rounds are going everywhere. I'm calling the master gunner buddies I know because I'm like, hey, Mike Golf, I don't know what the fuck is going on. And you're like, stand by, I got you. But another time, you guys are calling saying, hey, we got the shit going on. And it's like it's a circle. It's never ending, right? The self-licking ice cream cone we talked about. And
Yeah.
for me, that to me is what makes it so intense is you have to do it. And I feel that our current society does not offer us enough examples of that. Or we don't have like you said, you have to go to a specific place where it's like, this is only for the veterans that do this kind of stuff. Whereas here, they're within your community. You could go down the street and run into somebody, but hey, and it's in the community. And for me, that's why I personally have stayed away from that part of it because I want to make sure that I'm just like I was present in combat. Because even though the one time my third tour they offered us the one beer during the Super Bowl, I didn't take it. I went and ran instead of the gym. But just like I was present then and alive, like full focus, I want to make sure I'm doing that when I'm going through these experiences, so that I understand what it is that I'm doing.
That is outstanding. I really like that.
Mm-hmm.
And on the ayahuasca thing, I've been tempted by the idea, when they dangle this promise that if you're suffering from trauma, anxiety, alcoholism, addiction,
Mm-hmm.
one ibogaine ceremony or one ayahuasca ceremony can heal you of that. And that's tempting because in our society we like an instant fix. We want something that all I got to do is go to Peru and have an ayahuasca ceremony with a shaman and I can be healed of all these things in one weekend. It's almost too good to be true, brother. It's like, come on, man. There's no such thing as I don't know. I don't know anything about it. I've never done it before. There are people that swear by it that it actually is healing, and maybe it is. I don't really know. I'm speaking from a position of ignorance. But I like your take that you're clear of mind, you're completely present, you're in the moment, and you're undergoing this difficult journey with other brothers and sisters, and you're coming out with some spiritual enlightenment.
Mm-hmm.
And I really like that.
Because you don't feel alone anymore. That's the biggest thing. We're talking about you're going from one society to another one is you feel alone. You have nobody to connect with, but now you have this big old base. And like me, like right now, I came to the ceremony here in Playa del Carmen. But from here, I was invited to another one in Michoacan, and another one in a different state here in Mexico. And so you meet more people, and it just keeps growing and growing and growing. To when you talk about being a soldier, it's like for me, it's like, oh yeah, because to me, I'm a personal trainer, a nutritionist, so I do jujitsu, so I'm still doing that warrior thing. I still, why am I doing it? Well, because when we come here to Playa del Carmen, that's when my buddies want to go and run or train this. The little kids that are in the group, they see that like, oh, hey, he's a soldier. Maybe, you give good examples. And it brings you back to being, I think the name of that book is called Tribe. It brings you back to the tribe.
I've been wanting to read that. I keep hearing it.
Mm-hmm.
It's people keep mentioning that to me, so I know it's a sign that I need to read that book.
Right. And then the last thing too that I want to say about that is about the ayahuasca. I agree with you about the one stop shop. It fixes everything. I got a shirt back here somewhere. I'll show it later on. But my mark has like the the shell here and it has the rays coming up, right? I made that over there because I was surfing, saw the sun come out. I was like, I'm gonna make a local brand here because I live down by South Padre Island, Texas. So I was like, I'm gonna put this mark out there. But as I was starting to
I think I might have lost you. I lost your vocals, your volumes. I can't hear you. Yeah, it's coming and go. Yeah, I think I got you now.
okay,
All right, yeah, we're good. All right, go ahead.
excellent.
So, yep,
The or the, oh yeah, yeah. So in there, so going back to that, that's kind of like what it is. But I learned something. If you see the snake in the eagle's mouth in the Mexico flag, right? I was like, oh, wow. Well, they told me that's not what it wasn't really a snake a long time. It was actually a ribbon of sorts, and it was blue and it was red. And the word they use is atlachinoli. I know these are all Nahuatl words. So the word at, A-T-L, means water. The word tlali, that means like land. And then chinoli means burning. But essentially, it went like burning water. The water, the land that burns. And when you put it together, it turns into vapor. That's more, that's a rule. That's like, okay, got it. What does that mean? Life is a war. And the only way that the only way that you're gonna turn into vapor is you have to change. That vapor represents change. And so you have the fire and you have the water. Okay. And you hear people say fight fire with fire. You always hear me tell my daughter or anybody, no, you fight fire with water. That's how you make the change. And so that's why I opted up not to do the ayahuasca. I want to do this other one because when I leave here, it's not like, well, hey, guess what, man? Germany, everything is good. I'm fixed. I did my ceremony, took my one thing. I'm good to go. I have no more problems. I won't have from here on out to whenever. I got no problems. We all know that's
right.
bullshit because the first rule of the army is no plant survives initial contact. So
Yep.
that one's out the door. So I was like, hey, but with this other one and this community, you are a part of the process. You live it, you breathe it, everything. So, and kind of going back and forth. But when I got out of the army, I'd go run. Why are you running? You're not a soldier anymore. Because I like it. It feels good. No. That's bullshit. You don't need that. Why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? You need to do that anymore. Over here, when I go run, my friends say, I want to run with you. When I say, hey, I do jujitsu, they say, I want to do it with you. So kind of like we're talking about the master gunners. Hey, this dude's a master gunner. He's my friend. I want to go be a master gunner. So I have now, I say you, but I am now back in this place that I used to be in a long time ago. You know, if you, when it's time to do ceremonial stuff, we do ceremonial stuff. And when it's not time to do that, you get to hang out and you get to talk to your friends and you're a part of something bigger, you know?
Yes.
For those who do like to talk or that probably do still need to talk about the military, instead of it being like it is because, we have these symptoms that tell us we're veterans and we have nowhere else to go. So we got to go to the bar and sit there underneath the light of a neon moon and, tell our story. Well, you could be out here and play the godman after the ceremony, looking at the water, and somebody says, so you were a soldier, huh? Yeah. Tell me about that. And somebody you have nobody that you've never met in your life, but somebody that you were there dancing with that knows you, that you got to use more Christian based. You broke bread with. They just Yeah, tell me about the war. Tell me about your experience. And when I think about that as it applies to my friends in the States who don't have the same exposures I do, then you could easily say that's Jesus Christ coming up to you and saying, like, hey, bro, tell me about your life. How do you feel about that? So there's a lot of, when I say spirituality, I'm not talking about just what I have, came back to, but anybody who carries a sort of a sense of spirituality, to me, this is where you'll get more in touch with that. And by being in touch with that spirit, that actual spirit is actually that spirit from yourself. That's kind of telling you like, you're good, Jeremy Whiting. It's okay that you went to the war. It's okay that you saw these things. That was a part of the process. Now that you're done
Yes.
with that, you have to continue the process. You take everything you learn, kind of like what they say with your NCOs, good and bad. You take the good and the bad, you throw it away. So everything you took there, you keep what's good. Everything else, you don't need it, because where you're going, you're going to fill up your bag with more stuff. So don't carry it with you, because, in one of my papers I wrote, I called that the rucksack theory, where I talked about you can't, you can't just keep going through life and just keep throwing shit in your rucksack. You got to
can't.
sometimes stop, empty it, because where you're going, I
Yeah.
have some friends that ask me about drinking, about smoking, stuff like that, because, it gets out of hand. I tell them, well, if you have this plan, you want to, go to college and you want to get your diploma, then my recommendation is leave the alcohol, leave the drugs, focus on school. You know why? Because after you graduate, you know what's going to be there? Alcohol and drugs. Nothing's going to change. And guess what? Along the way, you took it out of your rucksack. When you get there and there's that space, or there's space for maybe a master's or a doctorate, you can say, you know what, beer? Man, you were my friend since I was a private at Fort Knox, but I can't take you with me anymore, bro, because where I'm going,
God, I love your philosophy, man. You're all over it. You impressed me when I first met you, and you continue to impress me today, Joey.
Thank you.
That's
Thank you, man. I
that's
appreciate it.
that's outstanding stuff.
It's
Are you
reciprocated as well.
Thank you, man. Are you at a point now where you're ready to begin this? Is there going to be how is this gonna continue? How is this the first group gonna do this? Are you gonna set up a website? I mean, what's your plan here?
So I'm going to do my first group. I'm going to start off next year. That's going to be the year we start out there. But I'm going to try to do a small sample, maybe say somewhere between 5 to 10 people. You know what I mean? Because and what I'd like to do is first get everybody's names, who's coming, and everything. Kind of get a small biography of you, of who's going. Then from there, send that over here so that I can co-partner you with somebody. Because some of my buddies here, they're learning English and stuff. For them, it's a good practice. And I guess for whoever shows up, it kind of gets you out of your shell. You're like, oh, and what better way to kind of grow, you know? But I'd like to do that and also it gives you a battle buddy. Gives you a battle buddy, you know, to kind of hang out with and, to kind of, hey, what am I need to do here? What do I do here? My idea, my warno is that we would fly to Mexico City. Walk around, go look at the temples, go through the museum, see all this cool stuff that you can be like, all right, cool, kind of let the dust settle, shake it off. And then after that, we would link up and then we would start the march up to Chalma. Normally it's at the end of it's at the end of May. And it normally corresponds with Memorial Day.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's another cool reason why I chose that one, because as we're going through all this, and it's a 3-day hump, and then after that we get to where we're going to go. And that's where we have the ceremonies and everything like that. But I'd like to do that. It's about a week long, and then after that, then you're going to come back to Mexico City, and then from there head back home. But that's the gist of it. And I think I personally think it would be. I don't see anything wrong in that.
I don't either.
I see people. We're here. We're away from the flagpole.
Yeah.
You're gonna be a partner with somebody who's gonna help you along the way. So that keeps you. What's the word I'm looking for here? A lot of times, whenever I see these things happen, these big old group events for the veteran, it's like, okay, I'm the guy who runs everything, so I'm the guy who disseminates information. I'm the guy who says, no. Jeremy, you're going to be over here with this guy we call the Nino Malo, the bad kid. You're going to be with the bad kid, okay? You're cool. Sean Allison, you're going to be over here with this person, and so on and so forth. And same thing with the female veterans. There's a lot of females that do this too, a lot more than guys, actually. So it would be like that. And so from there, we would walk together, go through all these things, and then at the end, at the very end, we would go do a sweat lodge. It's called a Tezmascal. And you would go through the sweat lodge so that after you, and think of it as like a process, but You got to go through it, and once you're done, then you have to go through everything, and then you cleanse yourself so that you come out of the thing again. You're kind of reborn, and like, okay. And for me, every time I do it, I always leave with like these new ideas. Man, I know what I'm going to do, and you're motivated. You're motivated. You know, you're like, hey, I'm ready to go and get it. You know, you got your master gunner certificate. You're officially a kilo 8, and you're like, good. And then they're like, hey, my golf tomorrow, we got the range. You're like, raise your hand. Can I go? It's the exact same. You want to get back, and you're like, I got ideas for my podcast. I got
Oh,
ideas for my gym, ideas for myself, for my house, for my marriage, for my whatever it is. It changes every aspect of life.
I love it. I love it, man. That is awesome. I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait till you get this off the ground and get it going. It's definitely
Hmm.
something I'm interested in doing.
Yeah.
It's so what else do you got going on, man? Talk about t-shirts. Is that one of your t-shirts that you sell or what?
This is so when I was in Hawaii, I started a trademark called Yeah Man. I got the old school star, but what I did is I put like those Rastafarian colors because I was in Hawaii and it looks cool. And later on, I kind of gave them meaning, but it's called Yeah Man. And I have two marks. Actually, I have this one. I'll grab the other one here in a minute, but this is the Yeah Man. It started a long time. Justin Kuhn, if you're watching this, it's like his favorite thing. He likes to say Yeah Man. For me, I put this on the tank because I was thinking, yeah, that's how the tankers were. We were just a bunch of cool dudes on these big ass tanks. Like, what's up, man? You
Yeah,
good? Yeah, man.
yeah, man.
Yeah, man. This, this. Okay, cool. Hey, do you want a coffee? I'm running to Icy You want a coffee? Yeah, man.
Oh,
I'm gonna
yeah.
smoke a shit. It just kind of fits. And so my Yeah Man brand, I got my site up and running now, but I got like a shirt that says Lays, Blaze, and Release. It's just little bitty things like that. I'm working on. These are like tank ones for my infantry
Sure.
friends, for everybody else. I'm putting them out there, but all my like going back to that inner child. When I was a young tanker, and I was like thinking like, oh, this is so funny about tankers. Well, guess what? Now I'm putting all that into shirts. Treadhead, blah 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 blah. You know,
Cool. So where can people find that stuff if they were if folks want to go buy one of your shirts? Is it
yeah.
talk to me? Where do you find
I'll give you. I'll send you the thing, but the name of it is. I'll spell it out. It's called Ista, which is IZTA, and then apparel. So IstaApparel.com. Give me 1 second right here.
Okay.
So I'll show you a little bit of my samples. I'm behind me, but I had to move. But so yeah, so also with the Yeah Man, because it's a military thing. So like I put them like on the old school shirts we used to wear.
Yeah.
To be to be funny, I remember one time at Fort Hood, we went to the bar. I mean, went to the strip. We got out early, and me and some of the buddies went to the strip club out there at Fort Hood. And we were sitting out there. We just show up, and it's like that movie, Dusk Till Dawn. There's lights and shit. And we walk in there, it's like dark. We're like, oh shit, but whatever. And out in the front, man, out in the front's an airborne dude, man. It's airborne. Got that high and tight. He's wearing a white shirt like the one from the Class A's, and he's got his jump boots on, his Cochrane's, the Cochrane ones, I guess. I mean, I remember looking at him like, all right, gangster on the front row, and he was just up there like, I beat everybody. like, like that dude was like Thursday nights. He wasn't thinking about drinking. He was like, I'm shining my boots because Friday night I'm gonna go hit this up. And we'll say her name was Raven. He was like, Raven's gonna definitely like these jump boots. So I use those colors for that. And I got a buddy in Germany. I made one for him, and he wears it underneath his shirt. So he has like underneath his shirt, he has that. So, but
Awesome.
I put that on there. The other one I made, the one I was telling you about, the Easter. So you can see this one, but you can see the the shell with the rays and everything. That's what I was saying about the Atlacinoli. So I have other ones of these. They're not so colorful. This is one of my tie-dye versions. But I also market these for my veteran friends, because for my friends that I do the dancing with here, because it's a warrior group, they wanted something for warriors. So I was like, this right here, because this represents the eternal fight, the Atlacinoli. So, right there. So it's right there.
That's awesome. I'm gonna
Yeah.
order a shirt today.
Yeah,
That
and
is
they're
so
all
cool.
like this one. I use the Maya numbers on the bottom for the year 2025. So I throw a lot of my studies in there, my anthropology and stuff like that into my clothing, And then this last one, I just kind of brought this one because like I use like the word for like the local. This means like people, the people. Masewal. So keep your eye
Okay.
open for another one that's going to have YAO in front of it. Yao Masewal, which kind of means like warrior society. Like I'm from the warrior society, you know.
I like
And then
I
there I'll
like
have
it.
like I want to put like something in there with I got the cross, the one that the Aztecs used with the obsidian blades on it. I got that with the cross, and I use that as my tag sometimes. So this one's more. Uh, it kind of stands out. It's more warrior fit. It's the fun shirts to make, and my other one, Easter, that's the one that's more. You know, you got to know. If you know, you know.
If you know, you know.
Yep.
That is cool, man. That's cool. Anything else you want to plug before we wrap it up?
Man, I'm so glad that you asked me to do this. I've been watching these. I've been watching them. That's where I get a lot of my ideas from. A lot of the ones that I watch, I listen to the guys in there, and I'm like, and then sitting back there writing down my notes. I'm like, so that's where I kind of came up with what I talked to you about was that. And I'm glad. I'm super glad that you reached out. When I saw you doing this, I'm like, yeah, because I'm there too. I'm starting to do podcasts. Just that I got so much shit going on. I got to kind of clear one and then get the other one going. But no, I really appreciate the chance to talk to you, to hang out with you for a while because it's been a long time, man. It's been a
It has.
super long time.
It has, and I look forward to seeing you in person in Mexico City, man. I tell you what, this has been fantastic. It's been enlightening for me.
Mhm.
Um, I've been looking forward to talking to you for a while. I mean, McGee and I still to this day talk about you. Whenever we have a conversation, your name comes up every single
Right
time,
on.
e- every single time. And you know, when you do go to start a podcast, hit me up, brother, because
100%.
I will. Yeah, because I will tell you what not to do, and you know, I made some mistakes early on, and you know, I'm still refining, I'm still working on this product, but you know, it's just like anything else in life, man. It's why we don't just go do one ayahuasca ceremony. Pro, it's a series of events that lead to a better and better product as you go.
Roger.
Um, brother, you're doing great things, man. Be
Thank you, man.
safe. It's been great talking to you. I will send you a copy of this. I don't think there's anything that need to be edited out. I don't think you said anything that needs to be edited out. So I think we're good to go. It should be live, hopefully by tonight.
Okay.
So I appreciate you, brother. Thanks a lot for your time, man.
Yes, sir, man. I appreciate it as well, man. Hey, guys, everybody, thank you for supporting my buddy here. Go out, buy a shirt, and then, oh, yeah. Sorry, I got to put this in there. I got Instagram. I had to get into that sorry ass world, but while you're on Instagram, you buy a shirt like this, take a picture of it next to a tank, tag us. If you win, then we'll send you we're doing it quarterly, so every quarter we'll pick somebody and we'll send you a pack. It'll be a new shirt, a hat, something, and I'm trying to upgrade it to do something more tactical gear, like not tactical, but cool shit to take to the beach or whatever. So
I like it. What's your handle on Instagram?
it is the name Ista. So it's I underscore Z underscore T underscore A underscore. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah. So if you just
gotcha.
go Ista and put underscores between there, you'll eventually see the picture of the shell and you'll see the light behind it. It looks exactly like the print I just had, just that it's the actual picture.
Fantastic, man. That is outstanding. All right, brother. Good luck to you and everything and that you endeavor in. I know you're gonna go far, man. You always have.
Definitely, you too, man. We'll be in touch. We'll be doing it. We'll be tracking each other.
Yeah, it sounds like we're gonna do a 1 week journey.
Let's do it. I'm ready.
All right, brother. Take
All right,
care,
man.
man.
You too, man. Peace.
All right.
Have a good one.
See ya.